We're about to say hello to Fred Smoot, who a couple of years ago, the 49ers were playing in D.C. We had him on as a random guest who had never come on the show before, and I was like, oh, my God, Fred Smoot's one of the best guests we've ever had. Any single time we got a 49ers-Washington game, you go ahead and you get us Fred Smoot. We got ourselves a 49ers and Washington game coming up on, I would say on Sunday, but that ain't right. It's tomorrow. And we got Fred Smoot back. Fred, thank you so much for joining us, man. Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays. How are you?
I'm doing good, brother. I didn't think you would have me back after I did you last time. You know, we had a great introduction, but I gave you a rude awakening of what was going to happen that day.
Well, wait, what? Didn't the Niners win 9-0?
But I told you, come on, and you felt good about that? you feel good about that?
Well,
we had half the team was injured. All right, y'all went in there and y'all literally crawled out of there, and you felt good about that.
Well, I mean, good enough to look at it this way. I've been around the NFL long enough to know that you don't complain about W's, right?
I have never met a bad W in my life.
There you go. We got Fred Smoot with us here today on 95.7 The Game. And, man, what kind of an interesting situation we got brewing between these two teams, Fred, because the 49ers got this little luxury item called already in the playoffs and a home playoff game guaranteed because they won their division. This is a Washington team that is coming in here fighting for every inch and scrap that it can get, still thinking it can reach the postseason and fighting like hell to do that. So just the two different attitudes of these teams alone might go a long way to shaping the feel of this game.
Well, you know what? I said this. When I looked at this game earlier in the week, I don't know how many people are this old that they remember the body bag game from like way back when it was just player after player getting hurt. And I said when these two teams got together, because I'm telling you, these teams are built very similar. And I can go through the things. If you want to talk about offensively, both of these guys have functional quarterbacks. Nothing great about these quarterbacks, but they can get the job done inside of these offenses. These offenses have great running games. We have a great running game with a two-headed back machine. Y'all have Christian McCaffrey. Y'all also have Deebo Samuels, who's a Swiss Army knife who can do everything. Well, we got his cousin, Curtis Samuels. He can do everything. He can go to the backfield. He can play wide receiver. Y'all have Brandon Ayuk. We have Terry McLaurin. At the end of the day, built very the same. We're led by our defensive line. Y'all led by y'all defensive line. At the end of the day, you're looking at a mirror. Now the question, you just brought it up. What are your motivations? I don't know if y'all are motivated like we are to win this game.
You know, Fred, you got the, Christmas Eve tomorrow. A lot of people hanging out with their in-laws. It's a Saturday. Some people might not be able to catch the game. So let's say there's somebody out there who they're stuck with their in-laws. They wake up Sunday morning and they see that the Commanders beat the Niners. What would you tell them probably happened in order for the Commanders to get that W?
First of all, I say the 49ers got everything they deserve. Second of all, I say we came out and we ran the ball and we controlled the ball. We have to beat the 49ers very similar to how we beat the Philadelphia Eagles, and just go out there and let's just go man to man and say, you know what, we're going to run the ball and we're going to force you to like it, and we're going to shorten this game. The one thing you don't want to do is give the 49ers 65, 70, 75 plays, because that's when Shanahan gets in his bag and starts to make things happen. So it don't matter if Brock Purdy at the quarterback. It don't matter if Jimmy at the court, it don't matter who. If you give him that many plays, he will shred you. If we can stop George Kittle and force them to throw to the outside, Benjamin St. Juice is coming back. I think y'all wait till y'all get a load of this character. Oh, he can really play. So we got some guys that can match up well with y'all. But at the end of the day, I say, one, we control the ball on offense. We didn't turn it over. Two, our defense outplayed y'all defense, which is a very tall task.
We're talking to Fred Smoot here on 95.7 The Game. The tall task gets even taller with Chase Young back in the saddle. This guy is a game-wrecking talent. He hasn't played at all this year, so I'm guessing he's chomping at the bit. I know he's going to be on a snap count. 16, 18, 20 snaps, but if those come on third down, that makes life a little rougher for the 49ers for sure. Tell us about Chase Young and what you're expecting to see out of him in his first game back.
Well, the great thing about it is everybody's talking about Chase Young. Well, first of all, you need to worry about John Allen
Yeah.
and the House of Pain, Mr. Deron Payne, and that hungry dog Montez Sweat, because those are the guys that's been making things happen to Hill Obata. And now you get that extra hungry dog who hasn't ate all year and get him back into the mix. And like you said, it's not like he's going to come out here and play 40, 50 plays. He's going to come out here and probably get 15. It depends. Pass rush situations of where he will get out. But come on. When you add strength to strength, you only get stronger. At the end of the day, our defensive line is a strong point of this team, and it just got a lot better this week when we activated him. But the thing about it is they will not, and I know Shanahan will not put him, and when I say him, I'm talking about Brock Purdy, in harm's way to let these guys just tee off and pass rush on them. So at the end of the day, what Chase is going to have to be ready for is a physical game, because if I know anything about the Shanahan, they're going to test him out when he's in there, and they're going to try to run at him.
You know, Fred, out here, you got the Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy. You guys got somebody in Taylor Heineke, undrafted. They're the same height. We're talking about the similarities between these guys. Do you think it's a little bit lazy of us because they do match in some of these underdog? I've been calling it the underdog bowl. Do you think it's a bit lazy for us, or do you actually see similarities between these two quarterbacks?
You're right. They're Siamese twins. They grew up together and got split up in birth. You're totally right. They're the same guy. You know, everybody loves the underdog story. Everybody loves Shane Falco. You know what? I'm going to tell you how much we love the underdog. Philadelphia, and those fans are so obnoxious, they built a statue of an ultimate underdog in Rocky Balboa. So basically you telling me you built a statue of a character, a movie character. This guy wasn't even real. That's how much we love the underdog story. And yes, we both have those guys. And I was looking the other day, and I didn't realize that if you look at all the quarterbacks in the playoff picture for the AFC, they are Pat Mahomes, they are Lamar Jackson, they are Joe Burrow, they are all top 10 picks. And you look in the NFC, and it's Dak Prescott 4th round, it's Kirk Cousins 1st round, it's all of the other guys over here in this game, and these two quarterbacks fit that same standard.
Why didn't it work out for Carson Wentz?
I don't, and that's hard to say. I think one thing about it is Carson does have a elongated stance, and I think that adds to him being sacked with a elongated throwing motion. I think he needs to tighten that up. But if you got a guy that's over there, the one thing you do as a player that's sitting over there when you know you feel like you should be the starter is you're being truthful to yourself and say, what do I need to do? And maybe making his throwing motion more compact. But let's not get it wrong. Carson was putting up 200-300-yard games. It's just turning the ball over was the problem. And that's what Heineke was doing very well, protecting the ball early on in his winning streak. For the last couple of games, he's got kind of reckless with the ball, but it's all about protecting the ball.
You know, Fred, obviously we're out here on the West Coast, so somebody who's tuning into the game tomorrow, who is a guy who you should say everybody should keep their eyes on that we don't know about? We know about Terry McLaurin. We know about Jahan Dotson. We know about Curtis Samuel. We know Chase Young's coming back. Who is the guy who you would say, hey, if you don't watch a lot of Commanders football, you want to see somebody that's going to impress you, look at this guy.
Man, that's the thing about it. We got so many weapons, especially when you talk about offense. And Brian Robinson come to mind, which I know everybody expected. You know, they know who he is right now. Antonio Gibson is a guy that can do everything. When I say play wide receiver, play running back, return, he's a guy that I'm looking to have a very big game. You brought up Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson he's one of those receivers. I look at him, and he's just a jack of all trades. He does no one thing great, but he does everything very, very well. And we have a deep, and I don't think, I call him Norman Bates, because at the tight end position, he will kill you. And that's John Bates, all right? John Bates is a guy that I think the more you get him involved and the more you get him the ball, the more he can make a difference. And on defense, we have Forrest, who's been making plays at the safety position. Cameron Curl, this is his type game. So you look at those safety, and you look at those guys. Jamin Davis, another guy that's been making play after play after play. So you watch out for those guys to really fill in the gaps and make the plays if we have a chance to win this game.
Do you think you could still beat most people in a foot race running backwards? How is your back pedal at the age of 43? How's the hip swivel?
Well, you know what? The speed is there, but the feet not there. You know, when I say the feet not there, the feet hurt. And the one thing about it is my grandma always told me, old things break, baby. And my feet, they hurt. They hurt. Listen, the pain, but I wouldn't trade it for nothing. But when you put 1,000,000 miles on something, they tend to tear up.
Man, I was a huge college football junkie. I still am. You were a hell of a player in your days at Mississippi State and the SEC, man. First team All-SEC 2 years in a row, I believe. First team All-American. You played, man. Mississippi.
Oh, yeah, I had fun doing it. And I also want to say rest in peace to Mike Leach.
Well,
man.
that's where
Pirate. Never forget.
That's where I was going with this. How well did you get to know Mike Leach? I know that was after your playing days there, but I'm guessing you spent a lot of time around the program still. Tell me about your interactions with Mike Leach, please.
Didn't have a lot of them, but when I did cross his paths, he was very John Madden-like in his mannerism and just he talks and he'll say something funny. You know how a comedian is a very dry deliverer of a joke, and it's very funny, but he never laughs. That's what type guy he was. And I always like coaches like that. There's coaches that still human beings, not to the point where they have to be so militaristic where they can't speak and smile and joke with you. And I enjoyed that about him. I enjoyed a human being. You know, everybody brings up the coach. I think when people talk about Mike Leach 10 years from now, they'll talk about the human being.
You're the man, Fred. As always, a conversation with you is one of the best conversations we have all week. Thank you so much for joining us, and I really mean it. Merry Christmas.
Hey, Merry Christmas, man. Happy holidays to everybody out there. The only bad thing going to happen is Christmas Eve is going to be a Commanders win and a 49ers loss. Other than that, thank you. I hope everybody's eating good and living good out there in California, brother.